Hello YouTube, I'm Biscord. If you're new and you like what you see, consider subscribing, but I just want to take time and pause and thank everybody for the massive support on the last video. It reached 2,000 views according to my YouTube analytics, which means they are very pleased. And I am just happy with what's going on with this channel. I'm over the moon. With this, I am not only encouraged to continue making Jujutsu Kaisen content, seeing as you guys like that, but it also encourages me to do YouTube in general. So thank you everybody who subscribed and everyone who continues to support me as a YouTuber. Like, even though I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I am still considering myself a YouTuber thanks to you people, and I greatly appreciate it with every fiber of my being. With that said, let's get into this topic, but first, intro. So if you had watched my last BNHA review, you know I will have this new way of approaching my chapter reviews, and I'll say this for the Jujutsu Kaisen video as well in case those viewers aren't here. But basically, I will be doing a chapter review for Jujutsu Kaisen every 3 weeks, and reason being is that I will take those latest 3 chapters and then I'll make it into a quote-unquote complete story where I narrate things to you as well as add my own voiceovers. Occasionally I'll give my own opinions either in between or at the end of the video. It depends on how I'm feeling. The timestamps will be provided in the comment section and in the description. Think of it as like a comic storian. You know that YouTube channel Comic Storian, just with anime manga reviews. Basically, that's how it's going to be like. With that said, sit back and enjoy my cringy voice acting and storytelling. And hey, reminder, if you like what you see, just consider subscribing, as that will help because this algorithm decides not to favor small YouTube channels, especially if they're anime related. But anyways, I'm sorry this intro is long. I just had to get everything out. Today we will be discussing chapter 303 and 304 of My Hero Academia, as you can tell from the title and the fucking thumbnail, with some references to chapters before. But hey, that's what we're doing. We're doing 2 chapters today instead of 3, but I hope you enjoy. Endeavor. Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but we were eavesdropping. Would you mind if we joined you on this little family journey? See, prior to the surprise of Hawks and Bear's genius, the Todoroki family have had their own mini meeting discussing Dabi's past and a conclusion that he has to be stopped no matter what, for the sake of everyone and for the sake of this family's closure. I just got released yesterday, so I figured I should wander around collecting information where I can, said Hawk, still using his phone's text-to-speech to communicate. I'm so sorry on behalf of my son Dabi. No, that's not why I'm here. That didn't even cross my mind. You don't have to apologize. It's fine. Really. Yeah, we only came here to gather information on Dabi. We're sorry to drop in like illegal denim. What's illegal denim? Anyways, understanding the source of Dabi's resentment and motives are invaluable clues for our information. Now we need to learn the rest of the story of how he survived and how he became Dabi from the man himself. By the way, this didn't come up because we're talking about Dabi, but Shoto, your burn marks, was that from Endeavor as well? That was from me. Shoto's mom spoke with a bit of regret in her voice. Shoto, you're super cool, you know that? Hawks uttered after receiving flashbacks of his deadbeat parents. A tint of envy filled Hawks, but he wasn't attached to his parents, so he didn't really have to care. But that whole idea of a repairing family, that was just something Hawks couldn't grasp. He snapped back to reality and looked to his childhood hero. Endeavor, look, it's a hellscape out there. We don't know the location of the League of Villains, 132 members of the Liberation Front, and 7 of the high-end Nomus. Along with that, Tomura and Nomus are involved in 6 prison breaks, aside from the one at Tartarus High-Max Prison. And now all of these escapees are missing. Heroes have been killed, injured, and simply just unable to fight anymore. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, with heroes resigning left, right, and center. The world is in shambles, and Hawks is giving Endeavor every single detail on the chaos that's going on in this world, including the distrust society has recently gained in the past 2 days. It seems as if the villains lost the battle, but they won the war. But there has to be hope, right? Hawks and Best Jeanist may be injured, but they won't stop fighting for what's right, and they need Endeavor to do the same. We need him to fight. Well, at least until he can stop his own son. But the room suddenly goes dead silent for a second as Hawks asks this chilling question.
By the way, what exactly is One for All?
Endeavor suddenly gets flashbacks of the war and comes to one conclusion. Izuku Midoriya had mentioned this after Tomura had stated that the One for All is what he's after. But we can't interrogate Izuku Midoriya as he's in a coma-like state, and Bakugo won't have it. He's worried about his best friend, and these concerns can be heard from across the entire hospital as the students of 1A have to band together just to restrain Katsuki Bakugo and take him back to his room to rest. But Izuku's coma isn't the only reason why they can't interrogate Izuku Midoriya. All Might himself has kindly requested that some of them just leave them alone. Just give All Might some time to talk to Izuku Midoriya. In that very moment, All Might, now known as Toshinori Yagi, can feel it in his soul. Izuku's having a conversation with the previous One for All users while in his comatose state. And that's basically where we end in chapter 303. Darker, darker, yet darker. The darkness keeps growing. The shadows counting deeper. This next chapter seems very, very interesting. What do you all think? And yes, that is actually an Undertale WD Gaster reference. I know there's not much of a voice variety right now that's going on. That's because it seems like there's a lot of people in these chapters, in these last two chapters, and I just can't voice them all. Something's going on. For some reason, I can't read the script properly. Yeah, but anyways, let's continue. I'm actually kind of curious to do this with a dark voice, and let's just play around and see with it. Anyways, darkness fills the void. All Might can feel it, although it's very faint. Izuku's not alone in his head. As Izuku wonders where everyone is, he's met by a seated council of previous One for All users, with the second and third user standing with their faces to the wall, as if they're on timeout for being bad, with the silhouette of All Might being present. He's still alive, so he cannot attend the meeting, or so we assume. We need to have a talk with you before you wake up. Sorry to bring this up while things are tough, but it's fate, kid, you gotta understand. Well, it's more like overthinking things. At least we have more time now. Previously, we were only able to communicate with you when you were mentally shaken, but now it's different. In the past 4 months, the One for All has grown at an exponential rate, and due to that, we're able to talk to you easier as well as talk to each other while we're here within the One for All. And since our last encounter with All for One, with him trying to force himself into our domain, it's become easier for you to speak to us, softly speaks the original one holder of One for All. But your privacy is safe, so you don't have to worry about you lost your mouth again, didn't you? Izuku's mouth had slowly been manifesting, but he could only force muffled sentences. What do you mean about talking? My name is Shinomori Hakage, and I am the 4th user of One for All, the Danger Sense guy. I was alerted to be alert to your alertness manifesting. I know. What a way with words, right? That's just cause you're socially irritable. Danjo played around with Shinomori like childhood friends, but Shinomori had to halt for a second. So, Izuku, you do know how I died, right? Izuku read All Might's file, so clearly stated that Shinomori died at the age of 40. It had to be All for One, right? No, it was old age, but that shouldn't be possible to die at the age of 40 and then call it old age, right? It just didn't make sense. Well, you see, when considering Toshinori Yagi and Izuku Midoriya, it was concluded that the quirk could not be possessed by a quote-unquote regular person, by today's standards at least, meaning the quirk burned the life force of those who were given One for All while already possessing quirks. Think of it as a glass of water. I added 3/4 to a glass that was half full. Obviously, it would spill over, right? That spilled over water is the life force of the quirk to users. Shinomori found this out when he had started getting ill while hiding away from All For One. He assumed that this was because he was just training incorrectly. That had to be the excuse, or he probably had a chronic disease, but later on realized that his own quirk was destroying him, but not as destructively as you would think. Izuku and Toshinori were special because they had been quirkless, meaning you're pouring 75% of water into an empty glass. By that logic, no quote-unquote normal human can continue to bear the torch of One For All. As the generations pass on, the concept of being born quirkless is a window that closes even further. By the time Izuku has to pass on his torch, there might not be any quirkless humans left, meaning Izuku Midoriya might just be the last successor to the One For All. This realization hits Izuku like a bus, and while he's stunned by the shocking revelation, Nana Shimura finally speaks. Now, with the main topic out of the way, time for the serious topic. Izuku, will you be able to kill my grandson Tomura Shigaraki for me? And that's the end of chapter 304. I definitely need to find a narrating voice that can suit me and that can stretch over every single chapter, because right now even I was cringing just a little bit, especially with the deep voice thing, because I don't have a deep voice. It's not part of my English, my voice. Anyways, that chapter 304 was pretty intense. Like, holy honestly, seeing Nana being like, screw it, just pop a cap in my grandson's ass, just it had me like, Jesus Christ, okay? Like, it was an intense thing to say. Izuku wants to save Tomura and Nana's like, nah, just murk the young blood. That's basically how it's like. I bet Izuku will definitely say no to killing Tomura because that's just not in his nature, but you know, what's the best thing to take away from this? Actually, no, I know what's the best thing to take out of this. Despite the second and the third user being hidden like children in the naughty corner for or reason, it just double proves that Katsuki Bakugo will not be the wielder of One For All as the theory states. And I covered this in a debunk video that I made earlier on, like sometime last year. You can go check that out if you want to. But basically, with this chapter, the reason why I say this is because with Shinomori's identity, we have a vague picture of what Horikoshi is trying to do. All of the users from 1 to 9, well, from 1 to 8, have numbers in their name. For example, Nana Shimura having Nana, which is 7 in Japanese. We have Toshinori Yagi, who's All Might, who has the kanji for 8 in his name since he's the 8th user. We have Shinomori, who has Shi, which is 4 in Japanese, which also means death, which kind of makes sense seeing as Shinomori is the 4th user who died at the age of 40. Yeah, you can really feel that 4 is not a lucky number. JoJo fans definitely know what I'm talking about. But anyways, along with that, we also have Daigoro Danjo, who has the word Go in his name, which means 5 in Japanese. So Horikoshi is really making sure that every single user, I'm not sure about Izuku, but he's making sure that every single user has the number of their, like, One For All using, what's the way to say this? Every user from 1 to 8 has their accountable number within their name. But you don't get that with Katsuki Bakugo. Katsuki Bakugo has no numbers in the name unless you want to say Go because of the Bakugo, but that again means 5, and the theory states that Izuku's Bakugo is the 2nd user. So there's that. But what are my thoughts on chapter 303? I honestly feel sorry for Hawks, seeing his idol reform his family while Hawks' family is just in shambles. It's in like much deeper shambles than the whole hero society right now. So yeah, and this series really just like it shoves down the idea that family is important, and I'm glad at least one family is being reformed in some way. But that's pretty much it. I'm also glad to see that Bakugo is alive and kicking as well. And I'm really happy to see how he really cares about Izuku. You can tell he's really pained by this whole idea that Izuku is not waking up. But probably he's just pissed because he's probably like, I jumped in to save your life, and now here you are, almost in death's door. What the fuck did I do that for then? That I feel like that's the type of thing Bakugo would think, but deep down he's like, I really just care about my friend who's literally at death's door. Now, what are my thoughts on chapter 304? The One for All may just be properly screwed at this point, and what's worse is that you can't even be sure that you'll find someone as heroic as the other One for All users who will also be quirkless. Because let's say Izuku is just like, yeah, fine, you're quirkless, let me give you my One for All, and then he's just an evil dude. I mean, that shit's gonna be the issue, right? Definitely makes me understand why Nana Shimura wants Izuku to straight up just kill Tomura Shigaraki. It would then clean her damaged family permanently, as well as just ending this whole saga of One for All versus All for One, right there and then. So then, Izuku wouldn't just have to fret about finding a new successor because, well, then Tomura's dead, All for One is gone, it's a gone concept, and within Izuku won't also have to stress about finding a successor with such a slim chance in the future. So it's best to just end the battle now and then somewhat have a quote-unquote peaceful future. But then again, I really don't think that's gonna be easy, especially with this whole distrust in society that's going on. So that's a mission of its own that Izuku will have to try and find a way and manage. Like I said earlier on in this video, the heroes won the battle, but it really seems like they're losing the war. And now with the whole prison break shit that's going on, we have that going on. Now, like, shit is literally hitting the fan left, right, and center. But again, you know how I am. If you've been on this YouTube channel for long enough, you know I am most hyped about Stain. That's the only reason why I care about the prison break arc. Fuck all about the rest of the villains. I'm stressed up. Okay, not stressed. I'm more hyped about Stain. That's when my attention is focused when I hear breakout arc in BNHA. Because, again, I've mentioned in my other videos, I'm practically a simp for Stain in No Homo. Basically. Anyways, that's enough for me. If you like what you saw, even though it was cringe and all, like, comment, and subscribe, because this YouTube algorithm is really against small anime YouTubers who don't have connections to bigger channels. So, yeah, I could really use that help to grow as a channel. And then, with that said, I have another video in the making. It's less cringy as this one, sort of. Let me not lie to you, it's sort of cringy, but it's an enjoyable cringy. So with that said, you must just hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I release that video, which might be tomorrow or 2 days from now. It actually depends on how I'm feeling and my production skills. But anyways, with that said, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on. Dislike it if you dislike it. This has been Biscord signing out. Bye.